A lot of the thinking behind the technology in the film is actually, it doesn't come from a scientific place. It doesn't come from a speculative fiction, realistic place. It's almost all based on metaphor. At the beginning of any film like this film, you have a decision where you can make a film which is true speculative fiction, and along with that comes a lot of very real science fiction, and potentially at the sort of detriment of story and theme and metaphor. And if you go the other way, which is the direction Elysium went, you can make a film that has the ability to be more metaphorical and be more clear on its themes. What I try to do is use technology to define the metaphor and then apply this brush layer of hyper-realism.
Over the years, we've grown to understand Neil's aesthetic. He has a great liking for things that have a hyper-realistic quality in their detail, although they may in turn do wonderful and fantastical things. A gun may look incredibly realistic in its detail, but its actual function may be a little bit more than the real world. We did do some fairly comprehensive design exploration into some pretty crazy ideas though. It's great that you find a director that has a strong vision, but is still keen to let the designers run wild down different avenues for a while before finally settling on the final look. The Weta workshop is very firmly a physical effects workshop where he loved the art of making things. We love creating objects that are going to be seen live on screen. Neil, as a director, loves physical items on set. And it's arguable that he could turn to a team of computer artists to do almost any of the physical props that we're doing. But I guess like a magician mixing up his tricks, this director loves to mix and blend the different techniques. The droid that's standing behind me, Neil came to us and said, you know, guys, I need, I think it was 16 of these in just over 6 to 7 weeks. I don't want to do them digitally if I have to. Is there any way we can get them built practically? We had a powwow. It probably lasted all of 1 minute because we of course went back and said, hell yes, we want to build these amazing things.
Here we are at the Armadine factory, just unpacked all the droids.
Our team came together in such a short length of time around a very sophisticated manufacturing methodology.
The robots in the film, Neil swung back and forth between a VFX and a practical build a couple of times, which definitely each time we sort of had to change our design of the robots. In some of the early stages of Elysium, the humans had these synthetic bodies that they would put their consciousness into. And so if they had these synthetic bodies, what did the military have? They'd have the sort of the militarized synthetic bodies. Future military hardware, the genetically engineered super warrior of the future, super soldiers, taking the human genome when we understand it well enough in the future and just modifying the fuck out of it. So you've got this big spider silk protein armored hulking beast that you sort of stick a gun in its head and send it out to battle and it's just unstoppable force. We did some design where Kruger comes back, he gets sort of killed in the film and comes back in the body of a large prototype synthetic fighting creature.
It's quite rare that you get a design that you get to sit down with and resolve from the inside out. And working with the guys in the 3D department, rationalizing how we can actually move and how we can be animated over the live characters, that was really fun. I loved that process. I think the idea was that they were all sort of based on the same chassis. They all sort of came from the same manufacturer, but they had different tiers.
Please sign this to receive medication.
The on-the-street version, which would be the police droids and stuff, and then you'd have the high-end, you know, Lexus luxury versions.
Max's exoskeleton in this film is one of those rare and wonderful briefs that come along too infrequently, where it tests you to the absolute limit of your technical capabilities.
Plug the spine in.
Uh-oh. Not what you want to hear when someone's doing back. Uh-oh.
The whole idea that his brainwaves are assisting in the driving of the suit that amplifies his power.
Is it the blinking light?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And the exosuit surprisingly took us a very long time to build. maybe 5 times longer than the robots sitting behind us because of the technical challenges of making sure the actor can move in it dynamically while keeping it looking aesthetically pleasing and futuristic enough.
Each of the elements has a 3-piston arrangement that allows it to sort of not have any big, large servo joints, so it doesn't have big hinges and servo motors at each sort of joint. You see the pistons cycling when you move, particularly the back. The back was, I think, really successful in our final prop.
Max's suit, we wanted to give the impression that it was cobbled together out of a series of components. It's a black market product that has brutally been embedded into his body through very crude surgical processes.
It's just great work. Great work.
You look badass, dude. People are going to be like, what the hell is going on?
You guys don't mind if I wear it home, right?
Just tuck the kids in tonight.
Yeah. Now Daddy's going to read you a story.
There is a level of extremely high tech that if you're wealthy enough, you can access that tech. If you're part of the military, if you're part of the security forces.
Kruger's exoskeleton, sleeker, more modern, stealth, blockier, stronger, newer, and more badass. Kruger's stuff is a little bit more high-tech. He's obviously heavily modified his own armor. It's covered in extra equipment, sensory equipment, got lots of exposed cables and wiring to give him a sort of a mercenary feel.
This is a piece of Kruger's costume that we've had prototyped. This will have a working screen, a laser here, little UAV mines, which Kruger uses to kill Sandro, I believe.
Some of the guys that are designing the guns just have an amazing understanding of military hardware of the world, because if you're a conceptual designer, you're studying this stuff, you're staying up to date with this stuff. And even though some of our designers have no great interest in firing a real firearm, they certainly have an interest at an aesthetics level, at a technology level. This particular director, Neil, has a passion for military hardware.
Pretty nice.
We had some really, really cool designs that just basically had to do with trying to upgrade older ballistics style weapons that we see now in our century.
One of my favorite design briefs for the film was a modification done to an AK-47 that would enable you to use airburst rounds, where you can laser the target, take that distance, and it'll encode the bullet, so the bullet will explode at that distance. That was a lot of fun, taking something that everyone understands, an AK-47, it's really well understood, very popular, very ghetto-looking weapon, and putting it into this future environment, but with this big Russian bullet encoder device bolted on top. Neil wanted very designed, very hardcore-looking bullets that you see inside the clip before he loads it and everything.
Airburst and ammunition. Designate your enemy, and any round you fire will explode around them 5-meter kill radius.
Then you had the much more high-end weapons used by Kruger and his crew.
Ready and fire.
Rail guns and the robots firing, big rail guns.
So we have a hydraulic piston in the back of the gun, which actually pulls this barrel section back and forth to create the recoil.
This kind of chem rail, which was a chemical-propelled dual-stage weapon, with a chemical propellant first stage and a rail-accelerated second stage.
See if I can go scares.
It's critical, especially in the Neil Blomkamp film, that the world has a gritty and grounded realism. So although there's no doubt that our designers could take design to an extreme level of creative license, to make sure that the actors are grounded in this very, very real world, you don't want to take the tech too far.
It's a combination of the guys at Weta Workshop having a very, very good understanding of engineering and figuring things out on an engineering basis. How will this work? Married with an equally important part of it, which is a very extensive production experience.
It's really great to now see another major film unfold around this director, a film that plays so truly to his love of science fiction, technology, incredible action, and political metaphor.